So there's an 8.5% sales tax and a title transfer fee of $15. If this was the total, I can subtract the title fee and then divide by 1.085. This gives me a price of $48.22. If I wanted to test that, I could work backwards and multiply by 1.085, the sales tax, and then add the 15. In 2014, from January to February, we went down 2.36%. And in February, we're here at, I don't know, 769. Based on the graph, that's what I would estimate, halfway between those two. So I'm going to divide that by 964. And if I do that, I get 797.7. So to the nearest, and the nearest is actually 790. So we're looking at the number of students who participate in 2 extracurricular activities versus those who participate in 1. And it goes up by 120 students. So I could subtract the 30% and find out that there's a total of 25%, the difference here. And that equals 120 students. So if I multiply that by 4, I get 480. So here's my chart. In 2010, we had a population X, and over time it increased by 20%, so 1.2x. In 2010, we had a population Y that decreased by 10%, so now we have 0.9y. We also know that this population is 120,000, and we know that these two are equal to each other. So I'm going to take 120,000, multiply that by 1.2x, or just 1.2, so 0.9y is equal to 144,000. I'm going to divide both sides by 0.9, and I get that y is equal to 160,000. C. So calcium weighs 40 AMU, and then another element is 20% less. So I take 40 times 0.8, and that's 32. If we increase x by 9%, we're looking at 1.09x. 0.25x plus 0.1 times 3 equals 0.15, and here we have x plus 3. So the percentages are all there. I have some unknown number of liters, and I have 3 liters. So over here, if I want the total number of liters, it's the unknown plus 3. You could multiply everything by 100 if it made it easier. So you have 25x plus 30 is equal to 15x plus 45. When we move the x's to the left, we have 10x, and the numbers to the right, we have 15. If I divide both sides by 10, the answer is 1.5. 140 pounds of tomatoes, but that declined by 20%, so 140 times 0.8. And we had 60 pounds of raspberries, and that declined by 50%, so 60 times 0.5. And then by what percentage did the total yield decline? So we're left with 112 pounds of tomatoes and 30 pounds of raspberries, so that's 142. We had 200. If we take that as a fraction, 142 over 200, we get 0.71. So how did we get there? We started off with 100%, now we're down to 71%. We lost 29%. You take the difference. If 0.25% of the TVs produced each day are defective and we produce 450, across 30 days, how many will that be? So 0.0025 times 450 times 30. Remember that 0.25 is going to be divided by 100. So you move the decimal place to the left, and that's where you get this percentage. The easiest mistake is to just multiply by 0.25, which would actually be 25%. And I don't think any TV company would make it. When you multiply all these out, you get 33.75 B. So we paid P dollars, which included an 8% sales tax after a 20% discount. So to find out the price pre-tax, we take P and we divide that by 1.08, since we're working backwards. Whatever we get, we divide this by 0.8, because we're trying to find out the price before the 20% discount. So since we're dividing by both of these things, we can just put them underneath the same fraction and pick D. We started with 500 items, and it was R% less than the number at the beginning of the day. So we take 500, and then we have 100 minus R divided by 100. Which is oddly the same as A and B. So we have this formula, and we have 100 milliliters of the 20%. So we plug in 100 for Y. To make this equal, what do we plug in for X? So I'm going to multiply everything by 100 first, and then I'll plug in 100 for Y wherever I see it. Once I multiply and distribute, I have this. I'm going to move the X's to the right, so I'm left with 8X is 200. So X is equal to 25.